Okay, now, let's just do a quick sum up, shall we? And think carefully about what we've learned when going through Wikipedia in great detail, not just picking up little facts here and there, but trying to go through the whole argument as far as we can before I completely run out of energy. And trying to understand very literally the meanings of the words which are being used there on Wikipedia. We've looked at the scientific method. We've looked at empiricism. We've looked at positivistic and anti-positivistic approaches. We've seen the development of the positivistic school of philosophy and how it developed to be a rebellion against everything mystical. Not necessarily saying that it's right or not, but it became a rebellion against everything which is mystical and became the foundations of the methodologies of the natural physical sciences, or certain aspects of them. But we've also seen the rise of anti-positivism, still as a methodology of science, a way of seeing the world, a way of investigating the world. We've had a look at what the scientific method actually means, and we've also thought about positivistic scientific method and anti-positivistic scientific method, and also empiricism. And we've seen that different schools of thoughts will actually use different aspects of the scientific method, and indeed, to a certain degree, even invent their own, depending upon the natural phenomenon that they're analyzing and observing. So, science itself becomes much more fluid, much more of a broad subject, a broader church, so to speak, you could say. And the ways of looking at the natural world and trying to find methods of investigating into nature are many and varied, and all of them tailored specifically for the natural phenomenon that they're looking at. We've taken a very in-depth and thorough look at what the word pseudoscience actually means. We've seen that there isn't an actual cohesive singular meaning. We've seen that it is self-contradictory to a massive degree. We've learned essentially that the term pseudoscience stands for nothing at all and doesn't actually exist as a real and indeed scientific or scientifically defined concept, not one that can be used across the board. So, where does that leave the experimental occultist? Where does that leave the New Ager, the spiritual healer, and those experimenting using allegedly or apparently or seemingly supernatural phenomena, centering in the mind and extending outwards, so it seems, possibly even in accordance with the ideas of Dean Radin? Where does that place us? Quite simply, so long as we can show respect to the scientific method, so long as we can be precise about the words that we use, and we can build upon our knowledge of how to test the various phenomena that we deal with, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, on the face of this earth to stop us from considering the investigation into the supernatural as a bona fide science. The evidence is there. We've looked at this from many different angles, and you can now see quite categorically that magic, which, if it is the science and art of attempting to cause change in accordance with the will by supernatural means, is a bona fide science. That magic and the study of the supernatural are bona fide schools of research, thought, and contemplation. That magic, when being executed to investigate the natural and supernatural worlds, is undeniably a bona fide, real science. The only issues that I have with the way that the New Age world has been developing is the lack of the development of more cohesive models of experimentation, of the perpetual encroachments upon the advancement of occult studies, of religious theory, rather than just using religious techniques to try and create results. If we can deal with that and dispose of it, we have a very real chance of creating, for our children and for our children's children, a cohesive supernatural science to become part of the respectable and respected academic sciences of the future. It'll be long and arduous to get to where we want to go, but it is possible. Purely upon the evidence of what I've shown you there in that series of videos, you can see that with a bit of practice and a bit of thought, we can actually build a very real science of magic. If you have viewed all of the videos in this playlist, thank you very much. And if you haven't, go back and watch the rest of them. This has been the great and glorious, soon to be famous one day, Nick Dutch, coming back at you with probably the longest marathon of YouTube videos I've done so far. And I thank you very much for being my subscribers. I thank you very much for being my viewers. Good fortune, God bless, and we'll definitely speak again soon.